This is the After Party, live with Kim McAllister. Pick a couch, grab a drink, and settle into the conversation.
Here I am. Hi. Sorry, I'm talking to myself again. Forgot to put myself on the screen. Hey, everybody. It is the After Party Live on this Wednesday, and what a great Mark Thompson show. So much fun to talk about everything we saw at the Democratic National Convention on the next day. I know we don't talk politics on the After Party, but I'm enjoying the conversation on the Mark Thompson show. Tomorrow, a programming note. Mark Thompson show, of course, starts at 11 with David Katz, and I'll be there and Albert will be there. But the Nikki Maduro show, which now takes place on Thursdays, has been bumped up a half an hour because of back to school night. So the Nikki Maduro show cocktail hour usually is live at 5. Tomorrow it starts at 4:30 p.m. And I misspoke yesterday, so I wanted to make sure and correct myself. Nikki Maduro tomorrow, 4:30 p.m. and we have a lot of fun. So I really hope that that you'll join us for that. And then, of course, the After Party Live, 1:10, 1:20-ish to whenever we finish, which is usually around 2. Okay, thank you for being here. Please click the like button. Please click subscribe as well. I am grateful for everyone here. Look at this. Trevor talking about politics. Adam Mockler for Congress in 2026. All right. The Viewfinder says, no way to relate that my ex looks like Priscilla Chan drinking from that mug. Talking about the Mark Zuckerberg sculpture out in their garden. Yeah, that's weird. That's a weird feeling, isn't it? I don't know. I'm grateful, though, that I see you guys all chatting in here. I love these communities. I'm so grateful to Luis for offering a sponsorship to the meetup that's going to happen after the Nikki Maduro show tomorrow night. So that's going to be really fun. Is it tomorrow night? When is the meetup? I've forgotten now. Yeah. Anyway, all right. Well, let's get into these stories because we don't have a lot of time together. So let us begin with what is happening in Monterey. Look at all those sea lions. Isn't that the craziest thing? This story comes from Kathy O, who sent it to me this morning, found it on ABC7. The pictures are absolutely wild. Hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of sea lions have taken over this beach in Monterey. They've had to close down the beach to humans and say, you know what? We just have to let these sea lions do what sea lions do. Let them get to their sea lion business. They started moving in at San Carlos Beach last week, right as the Monterey Car Week was happening, which is a pretty big deal there. The loud noises from the car show apparently scared the sea lions right back into the water, but only for a little bit, because this last Sunday night, they were back on the sand and they just kept coming up. A lot of people say they really haven't seen them come over in this many numbers. This is really close to the Fisherman's Wharf area in Monterey, down by the Fisherman's Wharf Cannery Row, this area. The Monterey Bay National Marine Sanctuary is talking to people about the importance of giving these animals their space. So it's really important to do that, to leave them alone and let them, you know, if they're breeding or if they need to rest or whatever it may be. But look at them. So many of them. Amazing. What a great picture. Thank you to Kathy O for that story. Remember recently when we talked about beaches, and we had this story out of Long Beach where this angry lady was swearing at people, little children and families, as she cordoned off with these rope fences this area of sand right in front of her house in Long Beach. Now it's happening in Marin County. This is a shot of Stinson Beach in Marin, and at least 5 homeowners have hired day laborers to create these kind of fences with wood and rope. Some are metal stakes as well. And they're cordoning off these sandy areas in front of these gazillion-dollar beachfront homes in Stinson Beach. Problem. the beach doesn't belong to you. The state of California has a rule that all beaches in California are public access areas. You cannot do this. No, you can't slap up a fence on the sand in front of your house. However annoying it is that there could be somebody sitting below your window yip-yapping or playing music or annoying you in whatever fashion, you cannot block off this area unless you get authorization from the California Coastal Commission. Can't do it. Now there's a complaint filed with the Marin County Community Development Agency saying that at least 5 houses near Calle del Pradero in Stinson Beach have installed fencing, again with rope, wooden posts, metal stakes. They did it in April and May, so it's been up for a while. They've installed these fences that extend past the property lines into the sand. At least 6 homes, according to SF Gate, they went out and looked, between Calle del Pinos and Calle del Resaca, the street names in this area, have these makeshift fences. A lot of people own homes here that they rent out as vacation homes, but these are, it might not look like they're much. I mean, it looks like a normal house. It just happens to be on the sand, but location. These homes go for $5 million and up. There's, you see the fence in the foreground. There's another shot. They don't want you in front of their home. The spokesperson for the California Coastal Commission is telling SF Gate, the issue is under the county's jurisdiction. Marin's Community Development Agency governs development in the coastal zone there, but they are actively coordinating with the California Coastal Commission regarding jurisdiction and next steps. More than likely, enforcers will be visiting these properties today. The notices were sent out to property owners last week. They say they've got 5 open cases for the roping off of beaches for 5 different properties. So they've got to go out, they've got to verify it's a violation. Then there's 2 options for compliance. Number 1, remove the ropes and the posts right now. Or number 2, apply for a coastal development permit, since with the Marin agency, they'll give them the opportunity to legalize it. We'll see. Yeah, I don't know. And then, you saw that woman in Long Beach who roped off a section, it was Laguna Beach rather, roped off this section of area in front of her home as well. She was cited by the California Coastal Commission for blocking access to public land. But you've seen that from Malibu, Half Moon Bay, people trying to block public access, trying to privatize these areas of beaches for their own use. And that is not how we do in California. Does it look like it's that populated that you would need to block it off? I mean, maybe it gets packed during a few days are really hot, but doesn't look that bad. Wow. 2 animals now. Look at this one. This is Barney. Barney is an SFO-based canine unit who is now also a finalist in the TSA's Cutest Canine Contest. He's a German short-haired pointer named Barney, Barni, in case you wondered, who works at the San Francisco International Airport. 5 years old, works with his handler at SFO. Barney is one of 2 finalists in this year's contest. They've got voting underway. It'll close at 9 a.m. Thursday. This dog, they say, catches the eye of all travelers as he works his way through the airport. Most people, they say, don't realize how highly trained these animals are. He's an explosive detection canine. They rely on his skills to keep travelers departing SFO safe and secure. He's pretty cute. It's the TSA Cutest Canine Contest. They're voting on Instagram, on X, and on Facebook. So you can go vote for Barney if you want to. I love how they have him under the Golden Gate Bridge. Pretty cute. He is pretty cute. I'll give him that. Love it. The speaking of the coast, we'll just stay with the Bay Area for a moment. We have a closure going on. A lot of people love to drive up here to the Point Bonita Lighthouse and spend some time. You see this bridge that leads you out to this area? That's some big problems. It's not in good shape. Kind of rickety and raggedy. Well, that is why the Point Bonita Lighthouse is now closed indefinitely. Could be a while. Unfortunately, that suspension bridge you see right there, leading visitors to Point Bonita in the Marin headlands, has to be shut down for repairs. You can still wander around in this area, but if you're hoping to go inside the lighthouse, you're going to be disappointed. No can do. They previously had it closed for 2 years, from 2020 to 2022. Because of a fallen electrical wire and a pole right near the suspension bridge that zapped the electricity to this area and then required a replacement. This time, they've got to give park officials time to do a more thorough inspection of the bridge. It is about 200 feet long, made of hardwood and steel suspension cables. And it's out here in the elements where wind, sea spray, the moist air, really do a number on it. So they've closed the bridge. They realize it's in need of repair. They knew this was coming. And so here we have it. So Point Bonita Lighthouse closed for the indefinite future. So beautiful out there. Look at that. How about some butter? Look at that. I love the state fairs that do the butter statues or butter sculptures. This one is the New York State Fair. They have this butter sculpture that's supposed to celebrate the environmental impact of dairy. This is the 56th annual butter sculpture at the New York State Fair. The theme is dairy. Good for you, good for the planet. This is in Syracuse. The sculpture is meant to highlight the dairy farmers' efforts to protect local waterways, the environment, all while producing milk. This year's sculpture was made with 800 pounds of butter. It's got a family by a river and a dairy farmer planting a tree, which symbolizes the dairy industry's commitment to sustainability, according to Mike McMahon of Easy Acres Dairy. After the fair, the sculpture will be recycled into renewable energy at Noblehurst Farms, continuing its friendly message. Here's another picture of the sculpture. You get a picture of it here because you can see how big it is with people standing by. But here's some close-ups of, it's pretty intricate. I mean, that's amazing art. Imagine carving that out of butter. Pretty incredible. Like a butter statue. Well, from butter statues, from one thing that's bad for us to another, cigarette smoking. There is a study that says cigarette smoking during pregnancy, even one cigarette a day, can harm your baby. Which, I have to tell you, the headline pretty much shocked me because, well, my mom didn't smoke during pregnancy. A lot of my friends' moms did. This is, back in the days when that was kind of normal. And we all seem to have turned out okay, so I don't know. But this new study, not that I'm advocating smoking while pregnant, no, absolutely not. But the new study says just a daily cigarette or two before or during pregnancy endangers the health of newborns. They say infants are 16% more likely to suffer major health issues after delivery if their mothers were lighting up 1 to 2 cigarettes a day prior to getting pregnant. These newborns also have a 13% higher risk of landing in the neonatal intensive care unit, the NICU. The risks increase with the amount a woman smokes, and then they stay high even if she quits partway through her pregnancy, which I would argue is better than nothing, right? I mean, I know that quitting smoking is hard, so I'm sure it's, at least better, but there's still a lot of risks. The results run counter to the belief by some women that it's okay to smoke before getting pregnant or during the first 3 months of pregnancy, or that light smoking is unlikely to be harmful. The doctors who did the study at Shandong University in Jinan, China, say there is no safe period and there is no safe level of cigarette smoking shortly before or during pregnancy. No. They say it should be emphasized that there are detrimental effects, even light smoking before and during pregnancy. And this is a shocker because we did a story recently on this show about the levels of smoking going down. But it's estimated that 1 in 10 women in the United States smoke. That smoking during pregnancy is associated with a higher risk of preterm delivery, low birth weight, and underdevelopment in the womb. It isn't clear, according to the study authors, how the timing or the intensity of a woman's cigarette smoking could affect a newborn. But they studied a lot of people, 12 million mothers. They looked at data, even though the study was done in China, they looked at data from the United States on more than 12 million mothers who delivered a baby between 2016 and 2019. Just over 9% of moms said they smoked before pregnancy, 7% smoked in the first trimester, 7% in the second trimester, 6% in the third trimester. Ugh. The researchers looked at whether newborns needed ventilation after delivery, being a life support machine helping you breathe, or whether they needed treatment for lung problems, blood infections, seizures, or serious neurological problems. Any smoking at all before or during pregnancy increased the risk of these potentially fatal health problems in newborns. So the researchers found this. Overall, smoking before pregnancy raised a newborn's risk of more than one neonatal health problem by 27%. Smoking during pregnancy increased the baby's risk by 31% to 32%. Wow. So before pregnancy, 27%, during 31 to 32%. Newborns 24% more likely to require intensive care if their mom smoked prior to pregnancy, 30 to 32% more likely if she smoked during pregnancy. And even if it was just 1 or 2 cigarettes a day, the baby had an increased risk of health problems. The risk increased with the amount an expecting mom smoked. The study, by the way, in case you know someone who's struggling with cigarettes and is planning to get pregnant or pregnant, has been published Tuesday in the Journal of Epidemiology and Community Health. And by the way, quitting midway through pregnancy, they say, did not eliminate the baby's risk of health problems either. Yikes. I'm telling you, I know it's hard to quit, but wow. Look at the beer spill. Oh no. The funny thing about this, not that we haven't seen a beer spill before, is the response from the police. This happened in Mississippi on Jefferson Avenue near North Lamar and North 9th. They say Jefferson Avenue is closed due to an 18-wheeler losing part of its load. Please use another route and no, you cannot come help clean up. That's from the Oxford Police Department in Mississippi. The beer was littering the roadway. It was Bud Light, Modelo, and Natural Light. So they didn't need any help getting that off the road. Here's a story about pet insurance. A lot of people have pet insurance because, when your animal gets sick, it is not cheap. You go to the vet, you're out hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. And sometimes it's a really hard choice. You know, you've got to make there almost is no choice. You got to fork up all this money, but for some people, it's really difficult. So, Nationwide, which provides pet insurance, is announcing the finalists for this year's Hambone Award. It celebrates the most unusual pet insurance claims of the year. The Hambone Award is named in honor of a dog who ate an entire holiday ham while stuck in a refrigerator. The whole point of this, according to Nationwide, is to shed light on the everyday, sometimes bizarre incidents that can happen to our pets. So, the finalists this year include Archie, who's a New Jersey dog. He injured his paws when he broke through a vintage plate glass door while trying to alert his family of the mail carrier's arrival. Another one is Bear, who's a corgi from Pennsylvania, who bit into a bottle of nail adhesive and glued his mouth shut. There's a parrot named Clover from New Jersey, who made the list after a growth spurt caused the toenails on her feet to hook together. There's a dog from Florida named Irma who suffered a gastrointestinal issue that turned out to have been the result of eating metal wire pieces believed to be from a barbecue brush, and a Virginia dog named Gordon who swallowed 2 large rocks from the garden. That would be my dog. My dog loves to eat rocks. Not eat them, but just kind of roll them around in her mouth. The last one they've listed here of the finalists is Lambeau, a dog in North Carolina who ate more than 250 pieces of a jigsaw puzzle. All of these animals have made full recoveries. They're all fine. But every year they say the Hambone Award celebrates the recoveries of our pet nominees made possible by the dedication of their pet parents and the expertise of their vet teams. They applaud, they say, applaud and continue to focus on supporting them as they provide the pets with the care they need. So it's a fun way fun, if you call an injury fun, a fun way, amusing way for Nationwide to look at the claims that have come across their desk. You're looking at the most interesting claims. Yeah. I'm telling you, pets can get into all kinds of trouble. There is a hat for sale, movie memorabilia. Here it comes. It is the Indiana Jones hat. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. The fedora worn by Harrison Ford in this movie has been auctioned off. This is from the 1984 film Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. This memorabilia company called Prop Store said this hat was among more than 450 items up for bid in its U.S. Entertainment Memorabilia Live auction. It was made specifically for the second installment of the Indiana Jones series, and it matches film shots, production stills, and behind-the-scenes footage of Harrison Ford in the village set on location in Sri Lanka, the minecart chase shot at Elstree Studios, and the river sequence shot in the United States. It was part of the personal collection of Dean Ferrandini, who was a stunt performer who also wore this hat while doubling for Ford in the movie. Ferrandini died in 2023, thus the auction. And it sold for, how much do you think? Go into the chat. How much do you think the Indiana Jones hat sold for? And don't Google it. Don't do it. It is called a fedora, yes. What do you think? Oh, that's pretty good. Karen says 500,000. Ms. Organic says 100,000. We've got a Viewfinders saying 250K. Trevor Starr with the 11,780. Walter, very similar. John Watson says 350K. I'll tell you guys, you're all just a little too low. The correct answer, Mama Day 3 Boys, 287K. The correct answer would be $630,000 for the Indiana Jones hat. Pretty good. They got a lot of cash for that one. I could see if you were gonna, I mean, that's a pretty memorable piece of movie gear there. $630,000 for Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom's fedora, worn by Harrison Ford and his stunt double, Dean Ferrandini. So there it goes, off into the world. Yes, Karen. Although no, do you win? Yes, you and Liz win. Liz also said 500K. So perhaps you both win. And in the rich tradition of the Mark Thompson show, you get nothing. I wish I could give you something though. Let's talk platelets. We'll go back to science for I'm trying to intersperse these fun stories with these stories that are a little health related. There's a new metric, a new health metric. It's called a platelet score, and it kind of showcases or highlights your risk, our risks of a stroke or a heart attack. This is an experimental genetic test that researchers say can gauge someone's risk of developing potentially deadly blood clots. So if you score high on the test, then you more than double the rate of a heart attack, stroke, or major amputation after undergoing a procedure to reopen a blocked artery in your leg. That's always nice. The test assesses whether a person's platelets are hyperactive and, if they are, prone to abnormal clotting that blocks the arteries. This report published Tuesday in the journal Nature Communications. The study done at the Center for Prevention of Cardiac Disease at NYU Grossman School of Medicine in New York City. And the study authors say the results demonstrate that this new platelet-centric scoring system can reliably predict platelet hyperactivity and the related risk of cardiovascular events. That physicians currently prescribe aspirin, which counters platelet activity, to patients based on available risk factors, including whether you have high cholesterol, high blood pressure, but those things aren't directly related to platelet function. And aspirin comes with its own risks, with dangerous bleeding, this type of thing. So the new test, the platelet score, they think will help doctors confine antiplatelet treatment to the people that are most likely to benefit, and that is those with platelet hyperactivity. The routine tests available to assess platelets' propensity to clot right now aren't really active enough to be very helpful. So to come up with this new test, they ran genetic tests on a group of patients that had already been diagnosed with platelet hyperactivity, and they identified 451 genes that appeared to differ significantly in those people versus healthy people that didn't have that. The genetic differences were used to create a platelet reactivity express scion score, or PRESS, for each patient. So it's called your PRESS score. Then they used your PRESS test to assess the clotting risk for a group of 254 people who had undergone a procedure to reopen blocked arteries in their legs. And the test revealed that almost 18% of those patients had hyperactive platelets. Those patients had greater than twice the risk of heart attack, stroke, major leg blood clots, or leg amputation within a month of the procedure compared to those whose PRESS test failed to show hyperactivity. They also used this test to look at groups of women suffering from clogged arteries in their legs. Those with the elevated PRESS score, 90% more likely, 90%, to have a heart attack or a stroke. The doctors say in current practice, antiplatelet therapy like aspirin isn't routinely recommended for the prevention of a first heart attack or stroke. But if you had this platelet-based test, it would help identify the patients at the highest risk and those people who would actually benefit the most from antiplatelet therapy to prevent some type of cardiovascular event from happening. Their score, the PRESS score, they say has the potential to further personalize cardiovascular disease risk prevention. Pretty good. Yeah. I mean, we're coming up with new things every day. Back to the fun stuff. How about the lotto of the day? This one, quite fortuitous. This man won the lottery one day after buying a house. So you could say he really needed that money. It happened in North Carolina, you can see, because of the price of the home. He said he'll use his $439,000, $439,527 that he won. He'll use the lottery prize to pay off the house that he just bought one day before he won. He said he bought the new house in Marin one day before the Cash 5 drawing. I closed on the house on Wednesday, he said. They made a joke about lower payments if I won the lottery. So he went to the Quick Mart and he ends up winning this $439,000 prize. The winnings will go to paying off his house and funding a fishing trip and maybe putting a little in the savings account. So look at that. I mean, why not, right? Come on. Here's a story about red meat. We're back to health again. I'm telling you, I'm trying to break it up a little bit because I don't want to depress everybody too much, especially the meat eaters among us. It turns out, and I think we kind of already knew this, so it's one of those, as Lori says, it's one of those duh studies. But we know now, for sure, that red meat has been linked to an increase in type 2 diabetes. That eating red meat and processed meat can actually increase someone's risk of developing type 2 diabetes. Regularly eating 50 grams of processed meat a day, which is about 2 slices of ham, increased by 15% your risk of developing type 2 diabetes within the next 10 years. Eating 100 grams of unprocessed red meat, like a steak, a small steak, linked to a 10% higher risk of type 2 diabetes. The research done at the University of Cambridge in Britain, they say the research provides the most comprehensive evidence to date of an association between eating processed meat and unprocessed red meat and a higher future risk of type 2 diabetes. They looked at 2 million people, just about, who participated in 31 different studies in 20 different countries. They found that there was an 8% increased risk of diabetes among people who regularly ate poultry, like chicken, turkey, or duck. The association got weaker as more factors were taken into account, though, while the links between diabetes and red or unprocessed meat persisted. According to the folks at Cambridge, the study supports recommendations to limit the consumption of processed meat and unprocessed red meat to reduce type 2 diabetes cases in the population. This study, by the way, in case you have a red meat eater or somebody who likes to eat bologna and salami among you, or sausages for breakfast, was published Tuesday in the Lancet Diabetes and Endocrinology Journal. The findings, they say, really provide more comprehensive evidence on the association between poultry consumption and type 2 diabetes than was previously available. And those links are still uncertain and need to be investigated further. So jury's still out on poultry, but red meat, I think we have our answer, right? I think we know. The folks at OpenAI have made a deal with Vogue and a slew of other magazines as well. It's the publisher of Condé Nast. They've signed this new deal with OpenAI. The companies had taken OpenAI to court over copyright infringement. Now they've have this multi-year deal with OpenAI and a partnership of sorts that ChatGPT and its tool SearchGPT will now be displaying content from top brands like Vogue, The New Yorker, Condé Nast Traveler, GQ, Architectural Digest, Vanity Fair, Wired, Bon Appetit, and more. The OpenAI folks announced in June that Time Magazine also announced a multi-year content deal to allow OpenAI to have access to more than 100 years of Time Magazine's content. They didn't say what the financial deal was on this, but here's what it means to you, that now if you use OpenAI or OpenAI Search, something in ChatGPT or OpenAI will be able to display Time's content, now also Vogue and all the other publications mentioned, to enhance the products or train its AI models. They've also signed deals recently with the Financial Times, Business Insider, France's Le Monde, Spain's Prisa Media. So AI is getting a little bit more input from the popular publications of the day. Here's a cute story. I think this is a cute story. Look at that. This is a place where it's in Liverpool, and this is, this story comes from Sky News, so that's appropriate. This is called the Casbah Club. What was the Casbah Club? And it's where the Beatles used to play. And Pete Best, who was an original member of the Beatles, the original drummer, who ended up being replaced by Ringo Starr, has transformed the old Casbah Club into a B&B so that fans can come and stay here. There he is, standing on the top floor there. He's 82. He says he used to play here with his bandmates, George Harrison, Sir Paul McCartney, and John Lennon. And he was dropped from the lineup and replaced by Ringo Starr. He says now he has time to reflect on a what if. What if he had stayed with the band? He said, I've had 60 great years of being Pete as well as being a Beatle. It's part of your life, and it's lovely to be associated with it, but he said life goes on. Initially, though, he said it was a lot of hardship and financial embarrassment, but he said life compensates. Maybe it was karma, he said, maybe it just wasn't meant to be. So now he's come up with business ventures founded on his connection to the Beatles. And he's launched this public place to stay in this old Casbah Club. They also have a place to stay in their old home as well. So the Casbah Club listed as a grade 2 Victorian mansion bought by Best's mother, Mona, who had the idea of a members-only club for her sons and their friends to meet and listen to music. The imprints of the Beatles, back then known as the Quarrymen, are all over the basement where they would have played. They helped decorate the space. You can still see where John Lennon carved his name into the walls with a penknife. Hundreds of people used to pack into this house to watch them play. The suites in this area where you can stay are named after Paul, John, George, Peter, and the original bass player, Stuart Sutcliffe, but not Ringo. He doesn't get a name on the wall there. Nope. The Beatles played here, the Beatles partied here, the Beatles slept here, according to Mr. Best. And this accommodation, he said, is a projection of his mother's dream. So he says Beatlemania still sells. And there he is, still kind of cashing in on his connection to all of this. But if you're a fan of the Beatles, I mean, this might be kind of fun. If you stay in the Paul McCartney suite, there are pictures of Paul McCartney all over the place. There's a replica of his guitar, Evelyn. It's kind of fun. So now it's a bed and breakfast, and you can go stay. What do you know? I will end it with ye old pumpkin spice latte. They call it Summerween, because the pumpkin spice latte season seems to start during summer instead of fall. Well, just in case you're a fan of the pumpkin spice phenomenon, Starbucks has now introduced its fall menu earlier than ever. And here's what will be available. The original pumpkin spice latte. They've got a pumpkin cream cold brew, iced pumpkin cream chai, iced apple crisp non-dairy cream chai, the apple crisp oat milk macchiato, the iced apple crisp oatmeal shaken espresso, the iced caramel apple cream latte, and the iced honey apple almond milk flat white. That's a pretty big fall menu. As for food items, Starbucks will offer you the pumpkin cream cheese muffin, the pumpkin and pepita loaf, the baked apple croissant, and the raccoon cake pop. Okay. The pumpkin spice flavored coffees and creamers from Starbucks are now going to be in grocery stores nationwide as well. So, if you are wondering when you are going to get your pumpkin spice latte or when you are going to have to try to avoid all this hoopla, now we know. Here it is. Starbucks starts too early and ends too early as well, says Judy. Yeah, I would say you're right. Walter's never had pumpkin spice anything. Walter's also lamenting Ringo. I don't know. I think it looks kind of bitter beans for Mr. Best not to include him. Ringo Starr was a huge, huge part of the Beatles' success. Yeah. Rock the Casbah, says Rev. Kind of going back and looking at these. John gave up on lunch meats. Way too much salt. I make my own. All right, good. Nice. All lottery wins are quite fortuitous, says Walter. It's the truth. Rev needs some winnings. I think don't we all, right? Trevor says, my daughter's coming home today after a week away. Can't wait to see her. That's so sweet. I hope it's a great visit. Really nice. All right. Well, thus ends and I'll take away the Starbucks. Thus ends the After Party Live. Thank you for being a part of it. Please click like, please click subscribe. Huge thank you to everyone who supports this show. The PayPal link at the bottom of the show description, also in the About tab of the After Party Live here on YouTube. And I'm so grateful to everyone who supports via PayPal and the super chats and super stickers as well. For now, I will see you tomorrow. And again, with the show notes, Mark Thompson show at 11 a.m. featuring David Katz, followed up by the After Party Live for Trivia Thursday. And then the Nikki Maduro show starts at 4:30 because of back to school night. So that's a really fun kind of hour to hang out. We'd love to see you there and spend some time with you on that show as well. All right. I appreciate you being here, and I hope that you all have a great rest of your day. Hope you go out there and make it a really, really good one. For now, bye-bye. Almost. There it is.
The After Party Live would like to thank the following contributors and viewers like you.